Hey guys, it's KeriTV, and today we have a special episode. As you know, vendors are a huge part of our transactions and our business, and we would not be able to get our clients across the finish line unless we had the very best vendors and people to help us along the way, and everybody has a different specialty. So I'm highlighting today the two title representatives who work our area, who we work closely with, and I want to explain a little bit what is title. What is title? How is that involved? Why do they have a living working with titles? Stay tuned. All right, so today we are here with two representatives from Fidelity National Title.
I'm Brandon Miller.
And I'm Tamara Ortiz.
Tamara and Brandon, thank you so much for being here
Sure.
today.
Thanks for having me.
So Tamara and Brandon are like our 911 emergency people. So during the transaction, I feel like we're only bugging them when there's something crazy happening. But what is title? Why is it important? What does it have to do with buying and selling real estate?
That's a good question. And we do spend a lot of time on the side of the road when we get that call, because first and foremost, our important role is so Keri can pick up the phone, and all title companies, Fidelity's a huge company, but she just needs that one or two people to call and have us do all the problem solving if something happens in a transaction. So title insurance, you cannot close a transaction in California unless the title company has the final say and they stamp the transaction and insure it with title insurance and charge a fee to the seller. And there's another fee we can talk about that goes to the buyer, but it's basically us kind of blessing the transaction and following through with our insurance if there's any problems after the fact. Your seller, the new buyer, will never have to worry about going in their own pocket if they have to protect the ownership of their property from other title lien holders.
So basically, title is like a stamp of insurance that you are now the owner and no one else can come in and take it from you, and there's no other fees that you're going to be slapped with.
Exactly.
No one likes hidden fees, right?
There is definitely fees, and there's stuff you'll get in the mail, and at the end of the day, it's the title company that's guaranteeing whatever you're going to receive. Don't worry about it, because we're insuring this transaction as long as you live there. It could be 10 years down the road. If someone's coming after you, we have a big team of attorneys. We'll get in court with you, and we'll make sure you're not going to have to pay anything out.
That's awesome. So what are some of the types of things that the insurance protects you from? Like what people can come and try to impact your title or put liens on title?
Right. Well, you know, when we say that Keri is the owner of this property, we're also saying that no one, if they decide to fudge the title, like I said.
Fudge the title, okay.
If that means if they decide to add themselves on, right? Try and make it so you're not the only owner, but now there's a new owner with you, or maybe they've recorded a deed on the property, putting themselves on, and somehow you mysteriously kind of get pushed to the side. And that does happen in Los Angeles.
It can happen, yeah.
We're going to be there to guarantee that no, Keri is the owner. Whatever person is trying to make your life not so easy by doing this, we're going to basically step up and make sure it's taken care of.
So insurance-wise, so if somebody tries to attach themselves to title, file a mechanics lien, say if there was work that was not done, and this could be the previous person who owned the house, that somebody's coming after them. But the insurance from the title company ensures that nobody is able to do that to your property.
Right.
It's kind of important, right?
Super important. You know, it's in Los Angeles, we have a lot of new development. Therefore, it's putting a lot of people to work, a lot of contractors, a lot of architects, a lot of project managers, you know, money just being shelled out left and right.
True.
Right?
And a lot of people involved on these LLCs. And
exactly. And so, at the end of the day, real estate is collateral. It's a hard asset where all these different workers can use to try and collect money that they feel is owed to them. Whether it's rightfully owed to them or not, it's a different question, but that's what they look at it as.
And the fortunate and unfortunate thing is it's very easy to file a lien on somebody's property for anything, for babysitting dues, you know?
It's pretty scary.
It's scary, yeah.
It's almost a flawed system with the county. They're very understaffed, and anyone can walk in and just, you know, here's a document, please record it, and they'll pay a fee and walk out the door.
And we've actually been seeing that a lot.
Oh,
in the
no,
past,
really?
Yeah, in the past 2 years, where we'll have a transaction and we'll look at it, and all of a sudden it shows somebody else on title, then who the person owns it. But
Now that we're sitting here, I remember a property we had in Santa Monica where it came through and the husband, there were all these extra fees and liens, and I'm adding it up and I'm like, oh my God, you guys owe a lot on this property. Turns out it was a different, let's say Mr. Smith, it was a different Mr. Smith. So what happens when all of a sudden you find your title and you owe money to somebody that's not yours? So that's why we need Tamara and Brandon here.
Yes, absolutely. And believe it or not, like Brandon Miller, it may seem like an uncommon name, but there's 44 Brandon Millers in LA County.
Oh, no way.
I found that out because when I did my own transaction, all title companies have to have the owner fill out this statement of information, your social security, all the personal info, so they can make sure I'm the Brandon Miller in charge of buying this house and not the other 43 Brandon Millers, and therefore any liens or issues they may have tied to them are not going to be tied to me as well.
That's a huge deal. So I remember on that one, you were able to contact who you needed to. We didn't even have to do anything. You guys took care of it, and then they gave us a clean title back. So that seller was very thankful for your help.
We want you to just focus on a relationship with your seller. When the problem arises, we take care of it. We communicate with you, and you communicate back with the seller.
Exactly. So that's why during these transactions, when our clients call and they say XYZ, we're like, we're working on it.
Right.
We're calling our vendors, calling escrow, calling title, doing research, all the things behind the scene to make sure that all you get is, yep, we're done, we're good.
Very true.
And actually, at the end of the transaction, the goal for all title companies, especially our title company, is to make sure that you have a clear title.
Clear title.
So clear title is the most
Very
important
important
thing. And title companies will not. They're not supposed to, and we will not close without having a clear title.
Right.
So that the buyer is inheriting that property free and clear.
That's a good point. What if the property is being financed cash? Do they still check to make sure the title's clear?
Yes.
Who does that?
Okay, so good question. In Los Angeles, I would say about 30% of transactions are cash transactions.
30% of transactions are cash,
Right.
and the average price is around $1 million. So that's a lot of money in this city.
out there.
I love it.
And that's
Money,
what makes
money.
Los Angeles so great is
So fabulous.
regardless of what's happening in the rest of the country, LA is very financially strong.
Mm-hmm.
So even with cash, title companies really have to almost scrutinize that transaction a little bit more. There's been cases of money laundering with very high level people in corporate America that like to use real estate as a mechanism to launder money.
Sounds
So-
technical. You're dealing with some mob people. That
It's oh yeah,
I'm not on that side.
have
Interesting
stories.
people.
We have stories, and so there actually is a new law that was placed 2 years ago where the government has collaborated using title companies to monitor all cash transactions.
Oh, okay, that's good.
It's called FinCEN.
Yeah,
Vincent.
don't want to bore you with the details of all how it
Vincent.
works, but by law we have to work with the government to give them basically some information on who the buyer is with the cash. They keep it confidential to themselves just to make sure it's no one on their naughty list.
Naughty list.
And then they say-
Santa's list.
Oh yeah, they have their list. They have their list. And then all of a sudden they say, okay, you're fine. We close the deal and everything moves forward.
That's good to know. We actually just had that on a cash deal. We had to double check. So
Yes.
something I didn't
Yes.
know prior. So obviously you can see the importance of working with great vendors and then all the things that go into these real estate transactions that you don't know about. You know,
Right.
even if you're not that involved with the details, if you're just buying a house through an app or something, these are the situations you could get caught up in, not be able to close, or somebody else can buy the property with you that you don't want to own it with you, et cetera, et cetera. So it's really important to be connected to great people, and thank you for sharing about title today and what it is.
Sure.
Hope that helps people. Is there, just to leave, is there any situation that's happened where you, because I know I can think of a few, where you came in and saved the day from a property not closing in time, from someone losing a loan, foreclosure? Is there any examples you can bring up just to close us out today on why you're so awesome?
Yeah, you know what, there is
No
a
problem.
story recently that kind of made everyone, including myself, feel great is, you know, there's so many different scenarios out there, and sometimes we have longtime property owners. one transaction in particular in the West Side, and it was a pretty high-end transaction, $3+ million, but the owner just kind of fell behind on mortgage payments.
All right.
So it was kind of what they call a distress sale. She needed a sale so she wouldn't lose her home to the bank, and she still had a lot of equity. So it was a good position for her because she could still sell and make, you know, $200,000 or $300,000+.
Good.
But the clock was ticking on her house
Okay.
in order for it to close escrow as soon as possible, because the bank, once they start the foreclosure process, they don't really pay attention to, you know, what's happening in escrow. They really don't care. They start that clock and they're going to follow through with
They'll
it.
file and close whether somebody's in escrow or not.
Exactly.
It's really important.
So we have a buyer purchasing a transaction. We have the seller who's up against the clock. And it all came down to the last day to which the bank was going to repossess the property, foreclose on them, and that means everything in there, all the equity, would potentially be wiped out. Okay, so one day to operate, where we had to basically close the day before, not the day up, because it would be too close.
Wow, yeah.
So we met this nice old lady. We went down to the county recorder in Norwalk. It's pretty far away. Traffic in LA is not easy.
Yeah.
We had the buyer also meet us, just to make sure, by having both the buyer and seller, that we can walk in the county recorder with them, representing them on the transaction. And we did a special recording, which you're not really allowed to do in LA.
Yep.
But
those don't happen very often.
we, you know, used some connections, and we got the job done. We got the job done, because the next day she was going to lose her house and have $200,000 to $300,000 wiped out.
That's a lot of money to get wiped out just because of title recording on the wrong day. So that's a huge asset. So you want to make sure you have good people on your side throughout the process. Thanks, guys, for being here today.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
And hopefully some people watching here will get to experience working with them when you sell your house.
Awesome.
Thanks
Have a
for
good
being
one.
on KeriTV.
KeriTV.
Keri. Woo!